Okay, ladies and gentlemen, come dive into the open minds where you can broaden your perspectives, expand your horizons, and open your eyes to a reality never thought possible. Just remember, once you open that door, there's no going back. I am your host, Robbie Diesel. This is the Open Mind Show, and tonight's episode is called Crohn's Crusaders with my guest, Trevor. Welcome to the show, Trevor.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite. Excited to be on your platform and just, talk about my story and just discuss my perspective and my experience, of life and just things I've been through.
Yeah, about your story, we're about to get into that in a second, but the title is called Crohn's Crusaders. So for anybody out there listening who doesn't know or understand, what is Crohn's disease?
So Crohn's disease is inflammatory bowel disease. It's one of the toughest things out there if you're going through it. The symptoms range from not being able to digest certain foods and having intolerances to literally bleeding in and out the bathroom every 10 minutes, pain in all your joints, constant headaches, wake up in the middle of the night, the bed just soaked from sweating. And it could get to a point where, and a lot of people get to this point where they have to have surgery because, the intestines are just failing them. And if they don't get it repaired, what happens is it can burst through and you can have, sepsis in your body and literally die from it.
So those are like severe cases, right?
Very severe, very severe.
Untreated, it could probably lead to that.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually have, very severe Crohn's disease. The problem is that it's a disease that has been completely misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And up to very recently, I'd say in the last 10 years or so, the thought process is that either A, you have to take the medication, B, you pray that, your luck just randomly changes, or, C, you have surgery and they just cut the bad stuff out of you when they just don't know what else to do.
Which all may be temporary or not do anything at all, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, because you're not getting to the root cause of the problem. You're
Right.
trying to just, the medication, the biologicals, what they do is they trick your body into working differently so that it doesn't attack itself, and then they have lighter medications for people that aren't having the severe issues to kind of manage it. But even the surgery, you can have the surgery. It's a 50% chance that you're going to have surgery again. And
Wow.
it's just because your body is just not working correctly based on, specifics in the body. So it's just not magically going to get better,
Right. And so tell me how your story relates to Crohn's disease. Obviously, I'm sure you experienced it. Where does that start? Take us back to that.
Yeah, so for me, I was born premature. I was born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And, I was always sick. I remember as a kid, just always in and out the hospitals. It's going to the doctor was a normal thing for me all the time. And I personally didn't understand what was going on with me. I'll be 44. I'm trying to forget my age. I'll be 44 this year in a couple months. And, for most of my life, I was always sick. I have a brother who's one of the healthiest, most athletic people there is. And we were just completely different. He was built, strong, and all these different things. And I was always weak, skinny, sick all the time. He never went to the hospital. I'm always in the hospital, So being in Canada and just dealing with that until I was about 12 years old, from Calgary to Toronto, I just kind of thought that was life. Just be sick and just kind of deal with it and just struggle. And then when we moved to Florida, when I was about, I would say somewhere in 11 or 12 years old, I think the move and stress and things like that just made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then it really intensified. I was missing school a lot, in and out the hospitals for weeks at a time. Going from, I wasn't big at all, back then, like going from 115 to 75 pounds,
Wow.
In ninth grade, missing school forever, just going in and out the bathroom all day long. And I would go to the doctors. And I remember one time I was at the hospital, I woke up in the morning and I had 7 doctors around my bed. And, I was still kind of sleeping a little bit, but I was just listening to them and they're all talking back and forth about what possibly could be going on with me. And they just didn't really understand it back then,
Mm-hmm.
And I was misdiagnosed many times. And it was really a game changer for me to really realizing what I had when I was about 12 years old. And I went to the doctor and it's the first doctor that ever diagnosed me with Crohn's disease. And he
Mm.
said, you have this inflammatory bowel disease called Crohn's disease. I'm sorry to let you know, but you're going to have this for the rest of your life. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just your body was just, made differently. And, 12 years old to hear something like that, pretty much to me, it's like, wow, like I'm different. I'm going to struggle and be sick for the rest of my life. And I pretty much just accepted it. I
Wow.
had no choice. I always believed the doctors are the truth. I had no reason to question doctors. I thought they went to school for so long. They got all this education. They wear the white coat. You
Hmm.
know, they must know what they're talking about.
Right.
So from 12 years old to, you know, really 35 years old, or so, it was constantly the same thing, just sick all the time, just struggling, going to the bathroom, bleeding, um, trying new medications. The medication worked for a while, stopped working. And, it was a very tough thing to deal with, always hiding it from my friends. Oh, where's Trevor? He's disappeared. Where is he at? And I'll come back, make up an excuse. Oh, I had to go do, this or that. Any restaurant I went in, any place I went to, I always knew where the bathroom was. It was like I was a
Hmm.
fire marshal. I had everything laid out, you know. So yeah, man, it was always a struggle for me, and I literally thought that disease was irreversible, incurable disease, and it was just something that I thought I could never live a normal life. I tried to take my life a few times because of this.
Mm.
It was just really crazy, man. It really got really to a boiling point in 2012. So I
Hmm.
had surgery in 2008. They took out half my large intestine. And, for me, having surgery was really kind of like me giving in
Yeah.
to disease. Like that's the last step.
Right.
But I felt like I kind of felt, I really had to. It was emergency surgery. I was, again, struggling really bad. But I felt like if I had the surgery, well, I felt like after the surgery that there was a chance that I never have to deal with this again.
Right.
Like they cut all the bad stuff out of me. And, they told me there's a 50% chance that, I'd have to have surgery again. They really didn't know. So, life was good. I was up in Minnesota. I was working as a special deputy, water patrol. I was running security at the Science Museum. Um, I got to meet a lot of really cool people. Gave Prince a private tour of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Talking to him about life, got some really great life advice. We became friends, which is, a really cool thing. But at the end of the day, the Crohn started coming back.
Mm.
And one day I remember I had a bowl of cereal. So I love cereal, I ate it all the time growing up. So I would have my cereal with water because I couldn't drink milk.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a problem for me. I drink milk, my eyes would turn red, I would just get really sick. So one day I was like, okay, it's been like 4 years since I had surgery. I feel good, no problems, no issue. Like I have control of my life, got married, have 2 kids, bought a house, like living the American dream, like it's great. Getting heavily recruited for all these jobs. So I said one day, I said, you know what? I'm gonna drink a little milk with my cereal today. Everything seemed like it was going good. Within about 4 or 5 hours, I started having stomach aches.
Oh,
I was like, oh
wow.
no. I was like, no, no. Like, hopefully it's not coming back. So over the next couple of days, I started feeling like, like crap again. My stomach started hurting, and I just knew it. Like, you go through
Immediately.
something. Yeah, you go through something and you just feel the triggers and that connection.
Yeah.
And I knew it was back. And I try to push it off and I try to push it off.
You don't want to
And
believe it, especially after 4 years.
yeah, I thought I was like, oh man, I got my life back.
Hmm.
I was super happy. And yeah, it came back and it was rough. It was rough. Basically got handed a job for, a really big job running security at the Excel Energy Center. And literally all I had to do is say, yes, I want this job. They came looking for me. My director told me one day. And, right at that time, I was so sick that I couldn't even go to work anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So I ended up coming back to Florida, staying at my parents' house for a little bit, being away from my family, away from my kids. And that really was the turning point for me,
Hmm.
because I went through 1 year of more experimental medication. I failed out the trial because I had to have emergency care at the hospital with prednisone. So they said, you took too much prednisone. Now we can't keep you on this trial. So I said, well, what am I going to do? I'm away from my kids. I've just been trying to get better. I'm at my parents' house. I feel like I'm a burden to them, you know, and it's just, it was intense, man. And they said, you know, you either have two choices. You can either have surgery, we will take out the rest of your large intestine, you know, or you can go on this trial. My doctor at the time was one of the top doctors in the world working on a cure for Crohn's, so, you know, for 35 years.
Right.
And, you know, I really felt like this was my last chance at life, really, to get this right and be able to continue going forward. It's always been the same thing, this constant loop: healthy, sick, healthy, sick, healthy, sick, have money, struggling, have money, struggling, rebuilding, you know? So it was tough. It was tough.
That probably seemed normal to you after a point. Like, this is all life is.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, for me, I was like, I know there's more that I have to offer this world. You know, even when Prince and I were talking and we were talking about purpose and stuff, and he told me, you know, like, you know, like we're talking about, I like to pick successful people's brains, you know, and figure out how they got to places in life and just their mindset and things that help them. And we're talking about purpose. And I asked him, I said, well, you know, you're lucky. You know, I was like, oh, you're lucky. You have your purpose. You've been doing it for a long time. And he said, Trevor, to be honest with you, man, I'm still searching for my purpose.
Wow.
And I was like, I mean, but you make music for everyone, you know, everyone loves you. And he said, yeah, you know, I love to make people happy and I love to do that for people. And I love music myself. He said, but at the end of the day, I'm still looking for what my purpose really is and what really makes me happy. You know, and I was just like, damn, like that's serious. He said, you know, I can buy anything I want. I can have, you know, any girl, like, you know, whatever, anything I want. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm still looking for that thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of really hit home for me, just like money and just life and purpose. And I know it was crazy. So, yeah, so that happened. And my doctor basically said, you know, you can go into trial or you can have the surgery. And I asked him, what's the chances of getting, you know, what's my chances if I do either? And he said, well, if you do the surgery and we take the rest of your large intestine out, we have no clue.
Oh,
We're just going to have to see what happens.
yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like I'm just an experiment to you guys.
Yeah. Either way, you're just an experiment. You do a trial or you take out your organ, a vital organ, and just find out.
Right. And then I said, well, what about the trial? And he said, well, you know, there's only a 50% chance you'll actually get the medicine. So, you know, I was struggling, man. I was struggling with it. So I gave in. You know, I was away from my kids. I couldn't see them. I was struggling with my ex-wife, you know, and I was so stressed and depressed, and I just wanted to get my life back, get out of my parents' house. So I said, you know what? Fine, I'll just do the surgery.
Yeah.
So I remember I was in the hospital. The doctor came in, who was going to do my colonoscopy, and I said, hey, you know, can you please just take your time doing this colonoscopy, because I feel like this is my last chance. I want my doctor to do the best surgery possible. And he just got an attitude with me. He said, you know, I've done this a million times. And, you know, I don't know if you really can remember a time you've really been sick, but, you know, when we're sick, we don't really have time for that. Our mood's not there. Like, you know, our patience is zero. So I try to recollect myself, my thoughts. And I told him again, I said, I understand you've done this a million times, you know, your doctor, you know, yada, yada. You know, is it, you know, can you please, like, just for me, can you just really take your time and, you know, just try to put me in the best position possible? And again, he's like, man, I know what I'm doing. You know, and I'm like looking for a little bit of, you know,
Sympathy or something.
Yeah, just some reassurance, you know. And I didn't get it, man. So I just, everything to my life to that point, it just kind of snapped. And I just told him, I said, listen, man, just get the fuck out of here. Like, get out of my room. Don't come back. I'm done with you. I'm done with my doctor. I'm done with the medical field. Like, I'm done with all of y'all. And he was shocked, you know, he didn't leave. So I hit the nurse's button, had them remove him from the room. My doctor came and he said, hey, Trevor, what's going on? I said, doc, I'm done with all this, man. I'm either going to figure this out or that's it, you know? So it's another year battling my doctor, you know, not quite a year, but like a few months, maybe 6 months at the most, battling him, you know, just, you have to do this. As nurse practitioner, like, Trevor, if you don't do this, you know, you might die. And I said, I got to figure something else out. So then I just went in all the way, started doing research, PubMed. I'm on forums. I'm looking for everything possible. And up to this point, I've seen every kind of doctor.
Yeah.
doctor that's worked with electricity, natural doctor, holistic doctor, traditional doctor, combination of both. And what I found is that either way, traditional or non-traditional, they still didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, I know many times we feel like, oh, holistic doctors are better than traditional doctors, but at the end of the day, they're all just searching.
Yeah. It's
You
like
know?
it's like we were talking about. If you look at most private doctors offices and stuff, most of them say practices, not professions.
Yeah, it's practicing. It's practicing. And I know I have so much experience going through it. It's okay, try this, take
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mm-hmm.
do this, you know, but I never got any real health advice.
Yeah.
You know, it's always, oh, change your diet, take this food allergy test, take this blood type test, do this elimination diet. But there was no health advice for my
Yeah.
whole organism. It was just related to food
Right.
or my blood, you know. So, you know, as I went along, we'll discuss later. It's really, our health is completely different than that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I started searching. I came across a study that there's like 42 patients. They were put on these 3 antibiotics for a year. At the end of the year, their health didn't get worse. They didn't get better, you know, they didn't get worse, but they just stayed the same, you know, which was in okay state, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, that's something that's better than what I've been going through.
That was probably like a golden ticket for you at that point.
Yeah.
You
So I'm
know,
like,
just
okay,
some stability.
exactly. And all I was trying to do is look for stability to get my life back so I can start working again, so I can be with my kids and, you know, figure all that stuff out. So when I look down at the author who did this work, it's my doctor.
Oh,
Right.
trapped
So like,
again, dude. I'm trapped again.
right. So like I said, he was one of the top doctors, you know, in this field for the longest time. He had a huge gastroenterology center in Winter Park, Florida. So now I try to play an angle with them. You know, I didn't tell him that I saw his research, but I told him about the research. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, yeah, that's actually pretty good. And he goes, well, you're not a candidate for that. He said, you can either have surgery or you can go on the trial. And he said, that's not an approved treatment. And I said, well, I just honestly just need you to give me the medicine and I'll do it myself. I'll run the
Yeah.
trial. And it took about, oh man, it took a while. I want to say it took a month or 2 months to get him to give me this medicine. I called every single day. You know, I'm at home self-medicating with prednisone. You know, I'm struggling. Like I can't walk. My dad has to carry me around the house. I'm
Good
in and out the
God.
bathroom. Like I drink water, I'm in the bathroom. You know, I can't eat anything. I can't talk. At the same time, my stress level is 1,000, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I keep calling him. Hey, doc, can I please get the medicine? Can I please get the medicine? They're not letting me talk to him. Like, you're not doing what we need you to do. What are you going to do? I said, I'm just going to figure this out on my own. Keep calling. Finally, he comes on the phone one day and he says, Trevor, and, you know, apologize for my language, whatever. He's like, Trevor, just come and get your fucking medication. And I'm like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for, you know, like, thank God. So my dad drives me over there. We get the prescription. It's nothing like the trial. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to get 70, 80 milligrams, and he writes me a prescription like 500. So, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm happy, but I'm also confused. Like, how am I going to figure this out, you know, at the same time? So over the next 3 months, I get the medicine and I'm running these trials. Like literally, I'm using the scientific method we learned in like the 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got my hypothesis, I'm setting up my experiment, I'm recording everything, I'm doing everything to figure this out, right?
Right.
So I believe in my mind that I'm gonna figure it out. Like I felt positive. I figured I with these antibiotics, like I got it, you know? So after 3 months, guess what?
What happened?
I'm the same. I'm the same. So it's
But
funny because
you didn't get worse though, right?
I didn't get worse. I couldn't get worse. Worse was death.
Right. I guess,
You
yeah.
know, but I didn't get better, but I stayed the same. So I realized that I couldn't take antibiotics for the rest of my life, which sounds funny now because like most people know you can't be on antibiotics for the rest of your life, you know.
Period.
But
Yeah.
but I feel like 10 years ago it was so much different. Like nobody knew anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that took me through a chain of events where I started looking at the gut microbiome. So my research started taking me into the gut microbiome, and the top doctors and researchers and scientists in the world said this is actually the way to manipulate your health because the bacteria are co-pilot for the cells in your body. and it talks to your body and allows your body to do these functions properly. Without it, you're compromised. So I'm like, okay. So that kind of took me to the next steps of trying to, run my experiment.
So was there like one particular like paper by a certain doctor that really stood out to you that was like, let me look at this? Or did you see like multiple ones and you're like, oh, okay, now this has my attention?
Yeah, it was this project, human microbiome project that they were
Mhm.
doing, where they were taking samples from people all over the world, different people, different populations, different ages. And it was really going into what they were eating, how they were living, and their health related to the specific bacteria.
Mm.
So my thing was, okay, so it's not what my doctor said. It's not a bacteria which is causing the damage. It's not enough diversified bacteria in the gut, which has my gut ecology messed up. So I was reading books and I was looking at, what a lot of the top doctors and scientists were saying, that you need to have a good ratio in your gut of good to bad bacteria. So
Right.
now my experiment changed. Instead of using antibiotics, my input is through using different bacteria. So, you
Mm.
know, right. So I feel like for humans to be the healthiest we can be, we have to go and we have to look back to what people used to do,
Mhm.
right? Because we know nowadays and in today's age, everything we do is destroying our body.
Yeah.
So I look back at what they're eating, what's going on, and what I saw was that they were fermenting a lot of foods back then. Like, you went to your grandma's house or maybe your mom's house or your aunt's house or something back in the day, and you would see they have those jars in the
Yeah.
cabinets,
Yep.
and we're like, oh man, that's disgusting. I would never touch that, right?
Right.
But those jars were health. That was health in those bottles. They ferment the food, whatever it was, whatever type of ethnicity or whatever it was, they'd ferment these foods and it would create this healthy bacteria.
Mhm.
And then when they add it to their foods with whatever they're eating, their dishes and stuff, it would add this healthy bacteria back in. Plus, then they have all these antibiotics knocking their gut down and stuff. So that's what I started keying in, was on fermented foods and probiotics.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And that was really the game changer that kind of started pushing me through.
When you're describing that, it kind of reminds me of like when people like say like you wash your hands too much or do something too much, or you're washing off that bacteria that your skin needs, and you start getting cracked, and then you could get like shit in the cracks. Like that's exactly what it reminds me of.
That's exactly it. So our microbiome is everywhere. It's
Mhm.
inside our body, it's outside our body. You have your gut microbiome, you have your skin microbiome, you have your oral microbiome. So the bacteria is everywhere in our body. So that's the co-pilot. So like you said, with the whole coronavirus thing, when we use hand sanitizer, we're actually making our hands
Weaker.
vulnerable. Yeah, and that's like a gateway instead of
Yeah.
having that protection. So, I was looking at different things. I started with, I was actually going to go get a fecal transplant. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have. That's funny.
Right. So that's when you take the poop from somebody else and you put it in your body and it changes your gut ecology.
Right.
So I was going to do that. And when I looked at the science behind it, I realized it wasn't sustainable for reasons I couldn't figure out at the time.
Mhm.
Because the people that are saying they got healed from doing this, from Crohn's and colitis and stuff, they were back there in 4 or 5 months paying another $8,000.
Jeez. So it was like another temporary fix again.
Yeah, and exactly. And I was at the point where I wanted to be done with it. Like, I need to figure it out. I didn't want to go backwards. I wanted to figure this out and keep moving forward.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, I'm not going to do that. And then I moved to probiotics, taking the pills, and I was getting even more sick. And what I realized is that I was just putting too much in my body at one time,
Ah.
and the detox was too heavy. So I was getting better, but it was giving me symptoms that made me appear like I was getting more sick.
Mhm.
And it was rough, man. Like, I'm going to the bathroom even more.
Yeah. And I mean,
So
you're pretty much doing what you were gonna have done at the doctor's office anyways. You're experimenting.
yeah, I'm just experimenting on myself. So I went from the probiotics that said, you know what? I came across kimchi and sauerkraut. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they've been using this for forever too. And it has all this healthy bacteria. I started doing that. And what I realized, I was getting more sick than the probiotics. And I was
Mhm.
like, what the heck? Doing my research. What I found is they have it's way more powerful than the probiotic pills.
Oh.
Right. So I'm like, okay. And the other thing is it's not that diverse. There's only a few strains in there.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, we know, like, if you have your money in a portfolio, you need diversity, right?
Right.
So that's the big thing. So I was looking for diversity, but I was also looking at that point, I'm just changing the experiment as I go. I'm
Right.
logging all, I'm recording all this stuff, man. I'm like working, taking the steps to get there. So then it's funny. I'm doing research. I mean, all I'm doing is at home research and stuff and working on my body. I can't do nothing else. So
Right.
I come across this article, and it talks about the Russian army, how whenever the soldiers go out for war to fight and they're gone for a while, they give them this thing called kefir or kefir,
Uh-huh.
right? And I said, oh, what is this? So I started looking at it, and it's fermented dairy. Basically, they take these kefir grains, which nobody in the world can tell you where they came from. No scientist, no historian, nobody can tell you where these grains come from. You can't go to a field and grow kefir grains. It doesn't work like that. They all came from somewhere,
Uh-huh.
and then they just got put into a medium which allowed them to grow more. And if it's milk or whatever it is, but usually milk, because that makes the most, right?
Mhm.
And then once it makes it, it takes you take the shittiest milk on the planet, you put it in a jar with some kefir grains, it's now a healthy product. It's not as healthy as if you got it from, a really healthy cow, but it takes out milk, which is inflammatory and horrible for you, that they sell like Cub or Publix or, any major shopping grocery store. And now it's something that doesn't harm your body. It's helpful. Antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. So, the thing that hooked me on that and really made me take the leap was when I heard the Russian link. It made me think about Ivan Drago in Rocky Four,
Yep.
right? And ever
He was
since
a
I saw that
machine.
movie, right? Ever since I seen that movie, Russia, really healthy, really strong. Growing up, I see people from Russia, they look completely different than us over here in North
Mhm.
America, right? So that kind of put the link there. And then it was just from there, it was literally getting some kefir grains, from a lady at the beach, about an hour from Orlando, getting back to the house, running this experiment. And then, like I said before, just slowly taking in a small amount and not doing a lot at one time and doing everything else I was doing. Like I'm cutting out all these different foods from my diet. I'm trying to get sleep, which is a struggle. I'm trying to work on my stress, all the basic things that we do when
Right.
we're trying to be better, right? Because I really didn't know much then. And what I started noticing was in the first couple of weeks, I went from using the bathroom 20 times to like 15 times.
Mm.
Right. I was able to sleep a little more. My eyes weren't red. And then so I said, oh man, I said, Trevor, I think you're onto something here.
Yeah.
And then when I did the kefir research, kefir is the oldest staple of health on the planet.
Really?
When you look at the Mediterranean diet,
Mhm.
now people don't talk about dairy. Oh, that's not part of the Mediterranean. That was actually the number one staple of health for the Mediterranean diet, fermented dairy. You know, so I don't know if you've heard people talk about, we have to go back because nowadays things are different. You hear people say like, oh, when I was younger, a baby, my mom or my grandma will give me a little bit of milk at night to drink, and I
Yep.
slept better and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
So that's all part of it. That was all part of it. And so I just started changing the experiment, adding more, adding more, adding more. And at the end of about 3 or 4 months, man, I gained all my weight back from 120 back up to like 170. All my symptoms were gone. No more food allergies. I could even drink milk.
Wow.
Yeah, none of my joints
Wow.
hurt. Completely transformed my health. And I was super excited, but at the same time, super pissed off because for my entire life, here I am thinking I'm fucked, right? To keep 100, and
Yeah.
that I have to live differently, that I'm broken, that I'm a human that's with a broken body. And come
Mhm.
to find out, nobody that was here to help me knew how to heal me. They knew how to maintain me and keep
Yeah.
me alive, but they didn't know anything about health. And that kind
Wow.
of just changed life for me at that point. Over the next from 2013, 2014 to 2017, I had to go on disability back then. And I
Right.
said, you know what? I'm going to stay on it because I want to make sure that this actually
Works.
works.
Yeah.
So after that happened and I figured the stuff out, I go to my doctor's office and I'm so excited. Like I'm shaking going over there. Like, oh my God, I found a way to reverse this disease. We can change the whole world. Like everything's going to be different. He's going to be so excited to hear this news. I go to his office. He doesn't want to come out. So he thinks I'm there and he's supposed to save my life. I'm probably sick again, right? Dying or something, right? He probably doesn't
Right.
want to deal with it, right? So he finally comes out and he sees me. And I thought he was just going to be like so happy. He looks at me and goes, Trevor, what did you do? I said, man, I figured out how to reverse this disease. It's not a bacteria like you thought. It's actually imbalance of bacteria in the gut, which is causing the disease to manifest. And he laughs at me. He goes, no way, man. It doesn't work like that. And I said, well, explain to me, like, look at me, right? I was on my deathbed. Here I am, healthiest I've ever been. And he goes, no, man, you must have got lucky. You must have used some witchcraft or something. And bro, that was like the most insulting thing I've heard in my entire life. Here I am thinking I'm make this massive, one of the greatest discoveries in life. And I have somebody tell me that I use witchcraft.
Wow.
Yeah, so he didn't receive it well. I said, listen, I'm not here to convince you of anything. Take a look at my research.
Yeah.
Go home, review it, and then call me. Let's talk. He's like, no, I don't see it. He takes it and puts it right in the garbage. And it got to a point where he had to call the cop. He like told me he's going to call the cops on me to leave his office because I can't talk about this stuff in front of his patients.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So it really, at that point, I was like, man, I hate doctors. I hate you guys. Like, you guys are the worst in the world. So it took me some time to get to a point to really understand that, hey, it's not all about the doctors. It's about me. Why couldn't I have done this before?
Right.
I was just too codependent on the doctor to take care of me.
That's huge. What you just said right now is huge.
That's what it is, because I wasn't responsible for my health. I thought the doctors was responsible to teaching me how to be healthy. At the end of the day, they spend like 2 weeks out of medical school on health.
Yeah.
So how can they help me be healthy? What I realize is they're just in a position to manage a disease through medication or different type of procedures.
Right.
You know, they don't really know how to be healthy. You know, at that point.
Well, think about it. I don't know about your experience with doctors, but in my lifetime, I've seen some pretty unhealthy, overweight, rough looking physicians.
Exactly.
And I always thought about that as a kid. I'm like, how is this guy going to tell us what we need to do when he's like, looks like he's falling apart. He's overweight. He looks always tired, yawning, cracking back. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, man. And so now from 2014 to 2017, I'm still on disability. I'm like, because it was tough, you know, to get on disability is crazy, man. Like, it was crazy. I had to go before, like, I had to do all this stuff. So I said, I want to make sure 100% that what I did was real, right?
Right.
So now 2017, I'm up in Minnesota. You know, I'm living again. I'm like, you know, feeling great and stuff. And, you know, I had so much damage to my guts from all this time of dealing with Crohn and stuff. So when I went to the bathroom, you know, I get a little graphic, but when I went to the bathroom, it would come out really narrow.
Yeah.
Because of the damage to my intestines. So for me, that was normal. You know, I wasn't having no symptoms. I wasn't living as good as I should have, you know, just because I wasn't still having those resources. You know, I had no support. You know, my stress is still the roof. I'm still dealing with my ex-wife and my kids. Like, it was tough, but I was still maintaining. I was still feeling good. I was still feeling like, you know, like this is something I don't have to deal with like that. And one day I just had the worst pain I've ever had. And I've gone through a lot of shit, you know,
right.
To be 100 with you. And I had the worst pain in my midsection I've ever had. It felt like somebody just took a 12 gauge, put it up to me and just pulled the trigger.
Oh.
So I went down on one knee and, you know, I basically tried to put myself back to sleep. I thought I was in a dream, you know, and I was at work and I was leaving my shift and I went down on one knee and I was there for about anywhere from half an hour to an hour, man. I can't remember. I didn't want to move. It was just so intense. So finally I got to my car, which is a 5-minute walk. The walk now at this point takes an hour to get to the car.
Oh, wow.
Now I'm driving home in intense pain. I pull over twice. I'm throwing up. Pull over again. I'm throwing up. I get to my house, you know, and I ask my roommate, you know, first I get to my house and I try to go to sleep. I'm like, if I go to sleep, I could just wake up and it'll all be better.
Right.
Thank God I don't go to sleep now because, you know, I would have died.
Yeah.
So I couldn't sleep. I take a shower. I do all these things to try and feel better, you know. Nothing. I'm still in a like 100 out of, you know, 1 to 10. The scale is 100 in pain.
Yeah.
Go to my roommate and I ask her to take me to the hospital. She's like, okay, I'll be up in 30 minutes. So 30 minutes, it takes me 30 minutes to go from the top of the stairs to the bottom. And by the time I get to the bottom, she wakes up. She takes me to the ER. You know, they run the test. And then I wake up in the hospital room with an ostomy bag. I had surgery.
They took the rest of your intestines out?
They took more of it out.
Okay.
When I wake up, the doctor tells me what happened. He said, because of your previous surgery, where they reconnected you at, the scar tissue grew to a point. The scar tissue from the surgery grew to a point where nothing could pass through and your gut exploded.
Oh shit.
and I saved your life. And now this is the 20 something time in my life I've almost died, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy. So I'm sitting there in a hospital room now thinking I beat a disease, right? Doing
Yeah.
all this stuff to figure it out. And here I'm in the hospital room and it's not, and at that time, I'm like, this is some bullshit. I'm here in this hospital room. This isn't my fault. I'm in here. This is
Yeah.
again on the doctors. So I mean, I'm cursing people out. Like I'm just so upset, man. Like I got my life back, and here I am again. You know.
Wow.
So I'm in the hospital now for like 3 weeks, and over that time period, it allowed me to reflect on a lot and think. And again, I realized, man, like it's not the doctor's fault. Like they don't have this education to understand these things.
Hmm.
It's like you go to your general doctor, your primary care, you have some issue and you're coughing. They give you a medication that's gonna for 300 different things. They can't figure out what it is,
Yeah, it's not for one
So
specific.
yeah, they don't they don't really know. So I say, you know what, Trevor, at the end of the day, you could avoid this by going to the doctor every year and getting your colonoscopy.
Hmm.
So it was at that point I said, you know what, I've been so focused on trying to be the best person in my field and be successful and have money and all those things that I just miss what life's about. That's not what life's about. So at that point, I was thinking about Prince some more and, even him passing away. And I said, well, thank God, that I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I found my purpose. And I found my purpose. I was searching for my entire life. And obviously I had to walk through the gates of hell to find it. But I found it. And I said, from this point on, I'm going to dedicate my life to showing people with Crohn's disease or
Yeah.
IBD or any type of GI problem that you can 110% control your health if you have the right information. And even
Mm.
people that had surgery before, they need to know,
Yeah.
hey, you need to go through your colonoscopy because if you don't, that scar tissue, it can cause a blockage and you could die.
Yeah. Like you
So
almost did.
I started dedicating my life to that. I started the Crohn's Crusaders platform. I wrote the Crohn's Crusaders book. Gave that away for free. It's still free. And slowly been working on getting into this field and immersing myself with the doctors and stuff like that. It's difficult. I haven't gone to medical field, don't have no background in anything like that. So when I first started, everybody laughed at me. Oh, Trevor, you're full of crap. You're not being the truth. The only way you can heal yourself is through a plant-based diet. And what I found out is all these people that are vegan, they are healthy. But if they do something they shouldn't do, guess what?
They
They're
get
fucked.
sick again.
Right.
We had talked
So
about that, about like you could go on these plant-based diets, but as soon as you eat like fast food or something greasy, you're for 2 days, you're just not yourself.
yeah, you're not, man. You're not. So my thing was, it was difficult, man. I was getting attacked. I was getting crazy messages. Like it was insane, but I just stuck to it. I just proved what I could do. And it got to a point where I was able to work with people and teach them what real health was so they can help themselves. I
Yeah.
don't tell anybody what to do or anything like that. And they're able to completely transform their health. When I first started, it took 6 months. Now it's 3 months. I've
Hmm.
had so many people where it's 1 week, you
Wow.
know?
So you're
Yeah.
talking about from the time you start them on fixing their gut microbiome, it's about a week until they start feeling better.
Yeah. I've had several people within a week that have had this for 10, 15 years.
Oh my
A
God.
week after we start working together and they flip their gut ecology, they don't have any more symptoms.
And
And the test,
you're probably like their godsend.
yeah, they're so happy. So I'm friends with everybody I work with. We're close. If I go to Tunisia, I can go. My boy's like, now, these are all my people now. Like, hey, come stay
Hmm.
with me. If I go here, if I go there, if I go anywhere in the world, I have people everywhere. We're like family, because I helped them get their life back by explaining to them something that nobody's ever said to them
Yeah.
and giving them the key to their own health, you know?
Well, not only you're not on you have a solution that not only works, but I feel like you making that connection with people in general is something that regular traditional doctors don't do as well. They treat us
Yeah,
as patients and as just another number, where if you make that mutual, like, hey, I'm on your level, I understand, I get it, I've been
exactly,
there.
exactly.
That goes a long way.
Yeah, it is. It does. And it's that connection because when they hear about what I went through, it's the same thing that they're going through on some level, you know?
Hmm.
So they can relate to all of it. And they've all been through what I've gone through too. People telling them they're broken, being sad. Many of those same people try to take their own life.
Mm.
It's when you think that you can't live a normal life to the fact that you're being held down. and you can't live your hopes and dreams. So some of these people are able to go and live their dreams, Olympic bids, all sorts of cool stuff. And for me, that's the most important thing. Like, I always loved helping people. That's why I was a police officer. That's why I was, went to my field. And, now, I just didn't say, okay, the gut microbiome is the truth, because I don't want to be like a lot of people are out there saying, oh, keto, vegan, carnivore, one way, because that's got us where we are today.
Right.
It's all conflict. So what I did is I started incorporating everything into what I was doing, meditating, grounding, plant-based, like doing it all, right? Tuning your frequency.
Right.
And what I found is people are getting healthier way quicker than even before when I was having my greatest success.
Just from the food that you were eating, pretty much. So, not for people who don't understand, like, you're incorporating meditation, your skin on the earth, a daily breathing, tuning in your chakras, stuff like that. So you're on a spiritual as well as a physical plane with this.
Absolutely. And, Crohn's disease is so basic. Inflammatory bowel disease is so basic, because if you have Crohn's and you meditate, that slows down your fight or flight, the stress in your body. That helps to slow that down. And once you believe you're healing, that right there helps you to heal. That's not enough to heal your body, but those little things. So when you walk on the ground barefoot, you're getting energy. You're getting this energy from the earth that goes into your body, and literally it's searching for information in your body.
Wow.
You're fighting. But people don't know that. Nobody's told anybody that. And when people hear about grounding, they think, oh, this is some, witchcraft or stuff like that.
Fucking tree hugging hippie.
Right. And I mean, back in the day when I would hear about stuff like that too, I'd be like, oh, these fucking people are crazy. But the fact of the matter is, they weren't crazy. Maybe they didn't understand the science of it, per se. But we are of planet Earth. Like, we are the planet.
Yeah.
And we work with the planet. So once you get in nature more, and you stop going inside, you stop being on electronics and all these different things, and you're outside, health is outside.
Yeah.
Sickness is inside.
Yep.
So you're barricading.
Wow, that is crazy. Health. Yeah. That's funny, because that's what they say when you get sick: stay inside, close the doors, close the windows. Oh my God, I didn't even that's a game changer for me.
Yeah, think about it like this. How many people have plants in their house?
Yeah. When you could just go outside and get it for free.
Yeah, but even just bring plants into your house, because then you're bringing outside in with you.
Right. Amazing.
And we've been programmed to be inhuman. So my thing now is really bringing us, really helping the world, going back, changing the view on health, and allowing us to become human again. And by doing all of these things together in a complementary plan, and not saying that, oh, the gut microbiome is the most important thing. It is one of the most important things, right? But by doing all these things together, somebody can have great success, great control of their health. And they could be anywhere, Timbuktu, China, Florida, New York, and they can understand anywhere, anytime, any place. They have that health toolkit, and they understand what's good for them, what's bad for them, understand how to manipulate their health. They go to the doctor now. They walk into the doctor's office, not as a lost sheep, but as a CEO of their health, that's dictating to the doctor, I need this checked. I know what my vitamin D is, blah, 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 blah. This is what I need you to do, instead of going in there and just like a puppet of the, and you're just.
That's badass, bro. That it reminds me of, like, in the music industry, if you go to sign a major deal with a major record label, it's, if you don't have anything to offer them, you're pretty much their slave. But if you just need their assistance in what you already have going, and they need you, you have a means of leverage.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in control of your destiny.
Right. And to come back full circle now for me is, I was so upset with the doctors, the medical field. But if you think about it, now today, because of coronavirus and stuff, people are really trying to look at their health more, they really try to key in on it. But that's only a small percentage of us, And medication, yes, a lot of us are like, oh, that's so bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But if we don't have medicine, then the people that don't want to do anything for their health, they're screwed.
Right.
They don't have that. So there's a place for medicine. I realize that if I want to help people, I have to go where the people are, and that's with the doctors. So I've been blessed now to be able to work with some of the top doctors in the country. I'm getting recognized now for my work. I'm still I'm still not recognized as one of the top pioneers of the gut microbiome. But I mean, in time, things will happen. And I know, like, my abilities, I know that I have the ability to help somebody have the ability to get the tools, understand their health, get the knowledge, learn how to apply it. And it's not just for them, it's for their children, it's for their children's children, because we got to change how we're going forward.
Yeah.
And if we keep going the way we're going right now, we're going to stop being humans. So we went from Neanderthal to Homo sapiens,
Right.
and now we're something else because
Yep.
of everything else that's going on. So we have to go back to being humans, because if we don't, we're literally not going to have an immune system, and our immune system
Will
is
be
going to be something.
it'll be reliant on synthetic shit.
Exactly. So we will no longer, right now, we can be in complete control of our health. If we
Yeah.
allow things to keep going the way they are, we're not going to be. And then we won't have this tool, which is our ability to control our health, and then who knows what's going to happen,
So now do you have to eat like that all the time, or can you eat regular food now?
I have no restrictions.
Okay. But do you suggest like limiting it still? Because I mean, bad food's bad food regardless of.
Yeah. So my suggestions are to people who want to regain their health is, one, regain your health first.
Mhm.
Put the work in, do what you got to do to get healthy. Once you're healthy and the tests show you're healthy, you feel good, you and your doctor agree, hey, you're in good health. You get your physical, you're in good health. At that point, you can do some things in moderation,
Mhm.
because as humans, we are supposed to enjoy ourselves. I
Right.
don't believe any health professional or health person in the world is a saint, no matter what they'll say on social media or whatever. They're enjoying themselves, but they understand the tools. And if you understand the tools, you understand how to manipulate your health. If you want to go with your friends, have a good time, whatever, do things in moderation. If you eat really healthy, if you have some pizza on the weekend or you have some ice cream or stuff like that, that's not supposed to break you down to get you sick.
Right.
And if it does, that means you're not healthy.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question. How does this relate to coronavirus? Because I remember early in the beginning when it was like mostly just in China, there was papers coming out saying that prior to the public knowledge of the outbreak, there was a lot of people that were going to the hospital with GI problems. Did you read about that or
yeah,
did you hear about that?
yes.
Is
So,
do you think that there's a relation to that?
okay, and that's a great question.
Mhm.
And this is actually the best question as it's related to coronavirus right now. So, a good friend of mine, she's one of the top doctors in the world, Dr. Christine Bashara, Dr. Christine B, you can find her on Instagram. She did the world's first research paper on the gut-lung axis and COVID. And what she found is that the specific bacteria that you get from your mom as a baby when you get breastfed, if you have that in your system, that combats the virus through the gut-lung axis. Everything is
Wow.
mostly through the gut, right?
Uh-huh.
So, as a matter of fact, her team had a connection with someone in the White House. So they took her study to the White House and said, their study to the White House, and they said, we have a way to help protect the public with coronavirus. And it's through the gut-lung axis. This is a research that provides that this specific bacteria, Bifidobacterium, that this actually helps keep you healthy. It helps prevent it. If you get it, this is a way to help you get over it quicker, along with some other things, stuff like that. So just like when I went to my doctor, like, oh, we can change the world, they went to the White House hoping that the White House would just jump all over it. But the way the economy and business works, you never got a call back. You never
Yeah.
got recontacted. My thing is, you remember the got milk commercials?
Yep.
We should have a gut bacteria. We need a gut microbiome national campaign all across the board. Everybody understands that if you have your gut in order, it helps with all these things, and it helps with the gut lung specifically for coronavirus. And kefir is loaded with more bacteria, which if more research is done, I'm sure without a reasonable doubt that they're going to find more strains help protect it that's in kefir. So kefir has that bacteria she's talking about. But here's the kicker. You're not allowed to sell fermented kefir in the store. It's illegal. You'll go to jail for it.
I
Yeah.
wonder why.
Right, right.
I
So
was
you
just
can
gonna
get
tell
it.
you that's on some like Nikolai Tesla shit where you're giving a life-changing product away for free, and corporate conglomerates do not like that. They need profit.
Yeah, and anyone can make kefir at home. You just have to locate some kefir grains, and you can
How do
make it
you
at home.
find it though if nobody knows where it comes from?
Oh, because so basically wherever, however it got started, there's some interesting stories about that. We could talk about that. Um, it's really interesting. But if I have some, which I do because I make it as well, and I sell a product or whatever that's dehydrated kefir, but I have the grains. So if you want some, I just ship some up to you. Basically, you find somebody who has them and you just give it to a friend. You just share them along. Because
Yeah.
if you have 5 grains, if you start say with 5 grains and you continue to grow it, the grains increase, 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 increase. So as long as you store those and you use those, you whatever, 100 years from now, 200, 500 years from now, your family line could still be using kefir grains that started from those original 5.
Dude, you didn't cut out this whole time on this whole interview, and the minute you brought up that White House thing, that the connection just cut out. And you know it's so funny, as I was talking to my last guest, and she said that same thing. She's like, when I say too many trigger words, my internet always fails. I just thought that was so funny right now.
Yeah, I know that things get monitored, and I know that when you're in a position to possibly cause a disruption, economically, that your stuff does get monitored. So a lot of these things aren't coincidence. So that's why I move differently.
Hmm.
I work, I move with that community, with the big pharma and with the medical community. I'm not against them at all, and I'm
Yeah.
not putting myself as a target. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that as more time I have in, and I'm actually starting to move into some more medical things now and work with some medical centers and stuff, that I'll be able to work with them in a way at some point. So
Hmm.
if you put a target on yourself and say, oh, they're bad, this is that, and there's cures and this and that, then you're just asking for problems. You're going to disappear. That's
It's
just a fact.
it's the saying of two negatives don't make a positive. You're like very intelligent for moving like that.
Thank you.
You should definitely either keep it low or try to fit into regular scheduling programming when you're doing this. And I think
Yes.
it's very cool that you're like, I'm not against doctors. I'm not against what you guys are doing or saying. I come from a place of understanding, which is like so key, because a lot of hate in this world is from people, not understanding or not willing to want to understand each other.
That
In
last
j-
part you said, man, is really what I'm finding now. Just like when I was in the criminal justice field, all the departments didn't want to work together.
Mhm.
I try to collaborate with as much people as I can, because I've noticed in my own field, in my own area of GI, that it's a competition. It's a
Right.
competition to sell products and my program. But the truth of the matter is, if we just incorporate everything together, take care of the gut microbiome, work on tuning your frequency, get connected with nature, do your meditation, do those things. The body's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing, and you got the control, you got the key, and it's important now for us to try to work together. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's a competition. But it's interesting. So I started with Crohn's disease
Mhm.
and the gut microbiome. I've worked with so many different things, from athletes, teaching them how to shave a minute off their mile 3 or 4 times after they run,
Wow.
using specific breathing techniques. You want to lose weight? I worked with a guy last year, he was 370. Within 2.5 months, almost 3 months, he was down to 270. We didn't go into the gym until the 3rd month. We were doing breathing, using bacteria, meditation, circadian rhythms, so I
Wow.
work with
And
people now.
for
And
people who don't know, what are circadian rhythms?
yeah, so basically it's your movements with the planet. And if you wake up at a certain time, go to sleep at a certain time, allow sunlight, darkness, all these things to work with your body, and work, synergistically with it, that alone is a huge improvement on your health. So it's like getting away from all these things, and stress is, for me,
Huge.
stress, stress is the trigger.
Hmm.
It's really the trigger, and for me, I laugh sometimes when people talk to me about Crohn's, which is so funny because I used to cry about it. But I laugh about it because it's literally one of the most basic, simplest things. It's just, you got your large intestine, cool. You got your tool right there to help manipulate your health. It's not the
Yeah.
only one, but it's you put food into that system, you get the bacteria down there where you're having the issues, anywhere in your GI system. It could be your mouth, it could be anywhere. once you get it in there, and then you use these other things along with it, and you're not continuing to harm your body, then you're just gonna return to homeostasis. It's just gonna happen. Continue being consistent, and even if you don't have all these things that I've laid out, through my discovery and through these things I figured out, you can still do it. You just have to be consistent with this. Don't allow those things to come in. Work on your stress, and really work on the gut ecology. Your gut ecology, it's like it's really an ecosystem of your body, and it starts there in your gut. But that bacteria is everywhere, so that's why with coronavirus, I work with several people with coronavirus, and they've got over it very quickly. But at the end of the day, it's big business. You have to understand that you got to take care of you, because if you don't take care of you, brother, nobody's coming for you.
Right.
They're not coming for you. So you gotta be the CEO of your health.
So I love that. Be your own CEO of your own health. That's great. What I gotta ask. So me and my wife just got done doing the keto diet, and I lost quite a bit of weight doing it. I feel better, weight wise, obviously. But you hit the nail on the head. Like if I go back to eating regular foods, I'll still get like that gut. But what's your take for people who like have had success with losing the weight and stuff? What's your suggestion as far as continuing on?
Yeah, so I just want to make it clear, I can't give any medical advice, or I can't tell anybody what to do. I'm not a doctor. I haven't been trained. Nothing I've done or anything I've created or discovered has been approved by the FDA. Just got to throw that in there real quick.
Right.
But I, like I said, I love the fact that you use the tool for health and use the keto diet. That's awesome. You used it. You helped yourself get to a place where you wanted to be, right? So that's not a sustainable thing. You can't continue keto for the rest of your life, or your health is going to be significantly impacted. I could send you over some studies with that too. But so now you're kind of where you want to be, right?
Right. Weight wise, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So now you just have to work on stabilizing your gut ecology. Work on those body rhythms. Work on making sure you're eating whole foods.
Okay.
Right. A lot of the things they tell you, like, oh, eggs has cholesterol, is bad for you. Salt is bad for you. Like, a lot of these things are just nonsense, right? Real salt and stuff. Eat a balanced diet. And it's all going to come down to your source of your food.
Okay.
Right. So you can eat meat. Meat is, if you eat meat, you actually have a more diversified gut, protect you against pathogens, disease, viruses, stuff like that,
Okay.
But the most important thing is make sure, you're getting your plant foods, your plant-based foods in there, but you're not eating, you can eat some of it, but make sure it's not mostly like Beyond Burger or plant-based foods that are made to be other foods, stuff like that. Just get your greens, eat your fruits and vegetables, do your juicing. The first thing when you wake up in the morning, take care of your gut microbiome, take care of that bacteria, support that. Check your water that you're drinking. Don't drink plain water. Add some minerals, add some stuff to it, because if you're just drinking water, you're just taking care of your thirst. At the end of the day, you're an electrical being, and water helps with conductivity.
Would you suggest alkaline water would probably be the best?
Nah.
No,
that's another hype movement.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is because if you do anything too much, it's gonna mess your system up.
Right.
So just get yourself some good water. I love Mountain Valley. I love Black water. Poland Spring is bottled water, which is perfectly fine. You can get a machine. You can do, Kangen water, any of that stuff, but just drink real water, man. Don't touch Dasani. I mean, I'm not a fan of Dasani, Aquafina, all those things. They're loaded with microplastics in there. You look at the source who's selling that water, and everyone's tied to all that. It's all tied together. Politics, health, big pharma. It's a system. I don't believe that anyone is out here to try to kill us. But I believe that the money is so good, it's hard for them to change off those things. And the scientists who are in charge in their organizations that are getting $10 million a year, they're not going to tell them, oh yeah, this stuff's the worst. They're trying to convince them that this is cool so they can keep their jobs.
Right. Absolutely. What's your take on eating for pleasure versus eating for just fuel?
For fuel, you mean fuel as far as healthy wise fuel in the body?
Right.
Yeah. I really feel like if you don't have a balance, I like to say 10% pleasure,
Okay.
90% health. If
Okay.
you can't get that balance, or you allow that balance to get disrupted, then your health is going to get disrupted. Because once you go through a prolonged stressful event in your life, you're not going to be able to, it's not going to be able to hide. They say in football or basketball, wins take care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with your health. You're living healthy, you're feeling fine, you're doing whatever you want. But as soon as that stress comes in, it's gonna show you that you're not living that great. But if you're healthy, or if you feel like you're healthy, your tests come back, you get your physical and all that stuff, you're doing good, then you can enjoy yourself, do a little pleasure eating, but really work on, well, here's an example. You're gonna eat some food that is not healthy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in some blueberries, have a couple blueberries, some strawberries, eat some anti-inflammatory things with them, and that'll help negate the effects. If you're going to barbecue some steaks, before you barbecue the steaks, take the meat, put it in a little vinegar.
Mm. What's the significance of that?
It allows, it basically, if you use some of these specific tools, it'll make the foods not as bad, unhealthy for you.
Okay.
So it's a lot of science. We can go into all the science, but basically, even with my program, I teach people all these different things. So when I say I give them a health toolkit, like, they literally get a health toolkit. They get a program that they're never going to need a program again, because they're getting all the information. And as they go along, they are now understanding health, and they see something, they know if it's real or not. And then they can also do their research, and then they're able to connect the dots because they understand these things so good, So like I said, if you are going to eat some unhealthy foods, or, hey, I'm going for a guy's weekend or something, like, really take care of your health before that. If you're taking shots, for example, I know this is probably not the things I should be saying, but if you're taking shots, for example, if in between your shots, you're drinking a little pickle juice or something, you're helping to protect your gut bacteria that's getting destroyed by the alcohol.
Bro, what's crazy is I had a buddy growing up that was like, you want to know what the best chaser is? And you can't taste shit when you take a chaser, is pickle juice. And I assure you, there was no science, or he was like, it protects your gut. He was just like, it makes the alcohol taste non-existent. And so that's hella funny you brought that up.
Yeah. So it's just little tools like that, Like I said before, I'm not somebody out here that says everyone needs to live like a saint.
Right.
Because I don't believe, you have to enjoy your life,
Right.
But just be smart about it, live in, do it in moderation, and every single day work on your health. Get up in the morning, take care of your gut, right? Get outside.
Your
right
energies,
away.
Your mental. Yeah.
Exactly. Get outside right away. Get connected with the earth. Do your grounding, right?
What do you suggest for people that live in places like North Dakota, where it's cold 8 months out of the year, for grounding and stuff?
Yeah. So what I recommend is that you grab a grounding mat. I got a relationship with a company called Earthing. I love their products and reviews on them. You get a grounding mat. You just hook that up to your bed. You're grounding all night while you sleep.
Oh, wow.
You take a grounding mat like there where you're in your office right now. You just be barefoot. You'll have one right there on the ground. Have your feet on it, or you can have your hands on it, or whatever,
Okay. So how refreshing is it that you have like credited, like, top doctors like that you're working with now? That's got to be a breath of fresh air for your cause, right?
Yeah, it is, but at the end of the day, it's for me, it's not really about getting, obviously I do want to at some point leave a legacy and get recognized for doing some of this stuff, but it's really just, it's just helping people, man, and helping to change the way we look at health. And, for me, the most pleasure I get is when somebody tells me how I helped change their life. And literally we're on the phone together a month later, and they're crying, and I'm breaking down a little bit. And they say things like, Trevor, when you told me that my life was going to change, man, you're right. My life has changed, man. Like, thank you so much. Just helping people, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how big your house is. It matters how you treat people.
Yeah.
And now I have an ability to help people change their lives. For me, like, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. And hopefully my children are going to see that, and they're going to kind of live by that as well, and see that it's not about what you attain. It's about how you leave your mark on this world,
Absolutely. I can't wait to start incorporating it into my everyday life. Me and my wife are heavy meditators and stuff like that, and we're familiar with grounding and all that stuff. But again, it's something that if you don't continue to work for daily, it's not a one-time fix-all deal. You know, I can't just meditate one time and then be good for the rest of my life. You have to continue to practice it. So I'm on that
Exactly.
path. Why don't you let the audience know if your websites, where you can get your product, your kit, your tools.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram, Crohn's Crusaders on IG. My website is appliedlifestyle.org. I do sell a dehydrated kefir product called Kepro. If anyone buys that from me, I give them a free 30-minute consultation where we just talk about stuff and see where you're at with your health. You can always hop in a program with me. I'm working on some other stuff too, some pretty cool stuff that will come out here soon. But anyone that messaged me on Instagram, if you DM me, I answer everybody. It might take a day, maybe a week to get back to you, but I try to talk to everybody I know when I was first going through my journey and trying to talk to different doctors and trying to talk to this person, trying to find like a celebrity to help me come up and all those things. I got no responses. Nobody would talk to me, but then things like last week happens where I get to talk to Naveen Jain, one of the top guys for health in the world, owns Viome,
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I want to make sure that I treat every single person the way I want to be treated. So just reach out to me, even if you want to ask me a question, I'll answer you, I got all my contact information is on IG. But yeah, just reach out to me and I'm here for you guys.
Excellent. Thank you. And we definitely have to touch back in when you release that new stuff that you're working on. I'm
Yes, sir.
interested.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm interested to find out what it is. But thank you again for your time, Trevor. I really appreciate it. I think what you're doing is great in helping people.
Thank you.
It's amazing, dude. When you change people's life for the better, there's not a price on that. So thank you.
I agree. And again, thank you. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for coming on your show. I love your platform. I love your approach and open-mindedness and just really, it's about knowledge, man. It's really about
Mhm.
just trying to get knowledge out there.
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. I'm serious. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you again, man. And I hope you enjoy your time in Tampa and take it easy.
Okay, you too.